All right, well, it is 6 o'clock and everybody we're expecting is here. It'd be good if we didn't have the echo. Don't know how to work that.
How's that?
That's
Is that
better.
working? Yeah.
Thank you, Joe. Was that you?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Hold on.
So, okay,
Sorry.
that's all right, whenever you're ready.
There we go.
Okay, so I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'm sitting in for Bill this evening because he is otherwise occupied. So we'll do the roll call. We have myself, Barbara Harm. We have Paul Needham, Tom Stevenson, and Aaron Sleva. Aaron, I will seat you for Bill Childress. Okay. And staff is Lynette Wacker. If I could get my map to work. And our applicant is here, Mr. Bergen, Joseph Bergen, and we have one member of the community here. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting, which was quite a while ago?
While ago.
Any changes or amendments anybody wants to offer? Can I have a motion to accept those minutes then?
Motion to
Tom?
accept.
Thank you, Tom. Second,
I'm abstaining as I wasn't present for the meeting.
okay. Thank you, Aaron. Those in favor? Yay. Correspondence, we have our membership for the Old Saybrook Historical Society. So we're confirmed in that. Is there any other correspondence that anybody's aware of?
No correspondence.
Okay, and I don't believe we have any committee or staff reports.
I do have one thing to report.
All right. Go.
A request for exemption was granted by the building official for North Cove Circle. David and Laura Gray. The proposal was, part of their property is in the historic district, but what they were proposing was not in it and not visible from the public street.
Okay,
So it was exempt.
okay. All right. So we'll move on then to our public hearing. We have an application. Following all the rules here. Okay. We have an application on behalf of Abigail and Scott Skidmore at 55 North Cove Road, and Mr. Bergen is their architect and is going to present for us. So if you'd like to go ahead and present your application.
So this is an image of the plot plan. And it's showing the existing story. I'm sorry, the existing house. And an existing garage. And what I've done is I've superimposed the proposed garage. The proposal is to demolish the existing garage and replace it with a slightly larger garage that affords the homeowner the ability to park 2 cars in the garage, as well as have a habitable space above. So it's situated, unfortunately, it's a peculiar lot. It presents a number of hardships, and we will have to go to ZBA.
Oh, you will, okay.
Yeah, So what we're showing here is replacing the garage basically in the existing location with the new structure. What that would achieve is no encroachment on the front setback nor on the side setback. It will encroach on the gateway setback slightly. It's already well within the 100-foot setback for
Yes.
gateway.
Mhm.
But, and after I show you this, and I'll show you the elevations, I'll show you a version of the site plan that I actually presented to Gateway preliminarily. But upon meeting with Chris Costa and discussing the merits of the application, she was suggesting that we present this scheme to HTC as is probably more favorable compared to the other one that I had shown to Gateway. So that said, this is the situation with where it's proposed as we applied to HTC. And these are the elevations of the structure. So the street view is this elevation here. It's very similar to the existing. So no issues. It doesn't have a mind's eye in terms of structure.
Yes.
So, the existing has a salt shed kind of form to it. So, we're replicating that in the proposed scheme. On the street side, the only difference, major difference is the introduction of a dormer on the back. There's a couple of gable dormers on the driveway side of the structure. We have some windows at the garage level and one window at the habitable space above. At the river view, we have one large picture window. Currently, there's an exterior stair that reaches the attic of the existing garage on this side of the structure.
Mhm.
We're eliminating that and we're enclosing that stair, the proposed new stair. And so this portico here is at the entrance to that stair. And so those are the two sort of public view elevations. At the rear of the garage, we have the dormer on the second floor with a few windows. There currently is a low slung shed with some, I believe it houses the existing generator.
Right.
And we're replacing that storage area with new storage accessed by these doors here. This is a window into the stair that goes up.
Mhm.
And on the driveway side, again, we have two gable dormers. We've got a portico over two, now the existing has one 16-foot wide garage door. We're replacing that with two individual 9-foot doors. So the materials are listed on the drawing that I showed. And neglected to include window information. It's essentially the same windows I've ever presented to this commission for any projects I've done in the district, which is
These are modern windows.
yes.
What's the window rating on them?
They're not required to be hurricane windows, if that's, is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So these are the windows, the simulated dividing light, aluminum clad wood windows. Would likely be a white color. And I also have this diagram on shows you the profile of the existing garage adjacent to the proposed elevation.
Oh, okay, yeah, we don't have that. We don't-
Correct. I did this today. I thought it
Mhm.
would come up.
What is what is the height on both of them?
So this one is 17, seven roughly, grade to ridge. And this one is 22.11, so say 23 feet grade to ridge.
How does the height on the proposed new, relate to the height of the house?
It's lower. I don't have the height of the house. Can show you an image
So
of
the
it.
proposed garage is lower than the house?
Yes.
If you have an image, that might be
Sure.
helpful to see.
Yeah. And, let's see the photos. The house is a two-story with an attic above. So this is the gable end of the house, the farthest gable from the garage. And I think I have one. This is from the water. So this is the existing garage structure, and this is the existing house. So you can see the ridge of that.
Mhm.
There's an attic above a second story. And the proposed over here is roughly 5 feet higher. And it has no attic.
Mhm.
So it will be lower than the.
Did you mention what the heating is gonna be in the new building?
I didn't, likely,
Probably electric.
very, very well could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there plumbing involved in the?
Yes. There would be, we were advised, by Chris Costa to seek a accessory dwelling unit in the first story, although we don't intend to rent it.
Mhm.
It's really, the use will be kind of a family hangout, have 4 children.
Yeah, I just wonder how that affects the septic.
The septic remains to be designed. It shouldn't affect it, in terms of the size of the septic. We believe it's 1,000-gallon tank, which is sufficient for a 3-bedroom house. When you expand, the demand on the septic, the Connecticut Public Health Code allows you to, multiply by 1.5 times.
Oh.
So, that would allow a 4-bedroom
Mhm.
with 1,000. That said, our advice to the homeowner is to upgrade the septic regardless.
Mm. That's not for us anyway. Had you considered vinyl clad windows, or do you prefer the aluminum clad?
Prefer the aluminum clad for a quality standpoint. Is there a preference for?
Well, we don't specify in new construction in our regs. For repairs, we do, and so that might be something we have to address at some point. But that doesn't really apply to this. I don't have the experience to know if that exposure to North Cove and brackish winds, salty winds, if one would serve better than another.
My recommendation would be what we're proposing. The finish is very durable on the aluminum. The clad's the wood window. The detailing is much more sharp. and crisp than vinyl window.
Mhm.
And the durability over time, I find the Marvin product is superior to I'm sorry, vinyl window.
Mhm.
And can I just ask a silly question about the window mullions? The, rather than the sort of traditional historic double hung look, we've got just a subdivided into 9. Is there a reason? Do those open in some sort of actually double hung?
In the second story, yes.
They are double,
I'm gonna go back.
because they're the mullions is 3x3. So it doesn't look like a traditional historic double hung.
You're talking about that, the front, the east elevation?
Yeah.
So, those would be, I'm sorry, those would be casement. Just to get the egress out of the window. And also, frankly, I was trying to keep the proportions of the panes similar. And if I,
existing house.
to the existing
That they
house
would
and,
get.
and consistent within this building.
And are the, I hope I'm using the right term, the mullions,
Mullions.
the cross pieces, are those within the glass or exterior to the glass?
So they are exterior to the glass. They're what's called a simulated divided light.
I see, okay.
So it's applied to either side, both sides of the glazing, and there's a spacer bar between that gives the simulation of an authentic divided light.
Okay,
So these are very often preferred by historic
yes,
commissions.
okay.
You go back to the picture of the one you had before. What's the height of the individual?
Sorry.
The person going into the side,
Oh, 5 feet 10 inches. The height of the person
Yeah.
shown there, the scale figure is 5 feet 10 inches.
5'9", you said?
10,
5'10".
Okay.
okay, do we have other questions? Questions from the public?
Yeah, the only question I have, we live across the street. The only question I have, I think was along the lines you were asking, is really proportions. The proportions. Right now it's beautiful.
The bulk,
Yeah, no, well, just the proportions of the house and the garage. Right now it's a gorgeous house. And my only comment would be are the proportions going to knock out the appearance of it.
What's a square footage increase from the old to the new for the base?
you don't have that figure out.
So
But,
It doesn't look like it's a
So
lot.
small.
You're making the walls go out a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And the back.
Let me go back to the site.
It looks like you're bumping out the back about 15 feet, I think. And on the north side about roughly 13, a little less than 15. There you go.
So the existing is shown in black line and the proposed is in the red line. So, this red dashed line is the full extent of, there's a sort of like a raised landing that reaches the stair going up. That's what this line is.
Mhm.
And this dashed line is there's a heavy portico over the existing door. So, this point here is what I held to respect the setback.
Well, you've got a
And-
propane tank there too.
Where are the 2 garage doors while you're moving your cursor around? Where are the 2 garage doors on that?
On this
Okay, thank you.
proposed. Here.
So we don't know the height of the house. And this is
I-
essentially
I
5 feet taller than this.
Right. I could, while I sit here, give a very good estimate. I measured the exposure on the shingles, and I could count the shingles and
Oh, okay.
by 6 inches.
That's a good idea.
All right, so 1, 2, 3.
He did say that the new structure was not any taller than the house.
No, it's not. It's not as tall as the house.
All right, so it's 42 to the top, to the bottom of the trim. So that's what, 20. 42 times 6 inches would be 26
Is that 8 inch
inch
or
exposure.
6 inch?
42, so it's 21 feet. And then give another, it looks like it's about 8. And it's about 11, so give another 9 or 10 inches. And then to the grade. So it's 2 shingles high, another 2 feet.
I would guess 2 feet.
So 21 feet, 22, 23. 20, 24 feet. Roughly, plus or minus.
That makes sense.
And the windows we're seeing in the house now, the ones that are going into the new structure, similar.
No. that's what
To
we're saying.
these,
They're divided, they're
Similar
3
to
by
these?
3s, but they're not double hung, and they're not the same proportions. They're just divided 3 by 3.
Other questions? Mr. Connolly, any other questions?
No. I was just looking at proportions, so it's 24 feet, 21 feet.
Mhm.
Okay, so 21 feet is the width.
yes.
Mhm.
So it's like, roughly.
Mhm. Okay.
Is this for a new owner or owner that's been there for a while?
I'm not sure how long they've been there. I think
They've
they've
had it a
couple,
few years.
Okay.
Other than, questions, does anybody have any general comments from the public or?
Before, can I show you the alternate site plan?
We don't have details of it. We haven't had a chance to review that at all.
Yes. So this shows the proposed garage violating the front yard setback, but coming as far away from the coastal jurisdiction line as possible.
Mhm.
The feeling, so we sat with Chris Costa, and the feeling was that although it's 7 feet 5 inches from the property line, it's further to the split fence and the road, but she thought that it would not find favor with the Historic District Commission. And she thought to err on the side of respecting the front yard setback.
Mhm.
That said, the Gateway Commission, they appreciated the fact that we were making the nonconformity better
Mhm.
with regard to the 100-foot setback. So our plan of action is to present the one that we felt HGC would favor.
Well, that's the one we have to, consider tonight because we don't have an application for this other one.
Ah, okay.
only have this one.
So we are saying that the new structure is gonna be on the same footprint as the old garage.
Yes, it's just
Yes,
expanded
this was an
slightly.
alternate I brought
Oh, the
tonight
alternative,
to
okay.
get feedback, but
So the area in blue that we're talking about is the alternative?
correct.
Okay. Thank
And I don't want to confuse anyone. So this is what we're talking about, is this one. Which is what we will proceed with.
The, the design of the building with the alternate site plan was the same.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, can I have a motion then to close the public hearing if there are no other comments or questions?
Well,
Paul, can I have a second? Tom? All right, so the public hearing is closed. So do you guys want to have any discussion about this? Are you prepared to vote?
I think the new construction, it does a lot of effort to make it comply with what we look at, both from the water side and the road side. And he didn't overextend it into a huge something that doesn't look appropriate. And the fact that sometimes families expand, they needed extra room or not. The owner's been there for a few years, you said. Yeah. So I have no objections with it.
Windows. I know I'm new to this group.
You're not that new.
The look of the windows, I wish, just in the proportions and the sort of detailing of them. I wish that those, yeah, were more.
I'm not
traditional.
allowed to speak at this point.
Yeah, no,
No, public hearing is closed.
okay.
So. Can add any new information.
Can I ask a point of order question?
I think so.
And if a majority vote isn't achieved, could there be a stipulation, like a contingency, like approved upon contingency of expired zone?
How did we
You
do
can-
that with the stone wall? Because at one point we were considering a approval with contingency, right, of the appropriate.
I don't think we did that on that, but, I
What was
think
the
in the past
contingency?
we have, oh, the sitting wall for, yeah. Yeah, we did pass an application with the, I don't know if
We didn't end up
contingency is the
doing it,
word
but
we
were-
use.
Bill was permitting us to do the contingency of a selection of stone. right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
Approved with the appropriate historic looking stone.
Right,
as a contingency.
and
I was
we,
there. I don't remember the details, but
she presented a stacked stone and we said we would prefer a more authentic dry laid stone. More in keeping with the historic nature, you know, that the the
Mhm.
thin
Mhm,
stacked was too modern looking.
mhm.
And so we did approve that. Also, we can continue, can't we?
You could, yes. Yeah.
what's our deadline on this application?
Because I mean, just to finish out sort of my thoughts on this, like, I think this is actually lovely. I think the design of it is lovely. I think it actually is more. I like it better than what's there currently, right, which was not a historic structure.
It is
My-
not an historic structure.
My
You have to
only
remember that.
note would be sort of the garage doors and the windows in hopes that those would be a little more historically appropriate in appearance. But to me, those are details.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to find an historic looking garage door, I will say.
Yeah.
I don't know what
It's
others
got the horse
think.
and carriage out there.
We have had, just in terms of the procedural question, we have had an applicant in response to our discussion, say, I'll make this change
Right.
if you can move forward with approval
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah.
So that's not exactly what you were asking, but that is something
Yeah,
I've
I
seen
think-
occur. in the
Also, I think we did that with the fireplace application, the outdoor fireplace application.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, there was the removing of
remember
the
that.
chimney. Approval
Mhm,
condition for removing the chimney, yeah.
mhm.
You do have time, you have 65 days to take action. And this was received on the 3rd, I think it was.
Yeah.
Of March. So we've got time, but sure, everybody would like to settle this
Of
tonight
course,
if
people would
possible.
like to move forward. I mean, is it appropriate for me to ask Erin what she thinks would be alternatives for the windows?
Well, let's speak to it in terms of the criteria that apply.
Uh-huh.
If there are, criteria that you think are,
Oh, it's so hard,
Relevance
right? Because it's
from the guidelines.
completely interpretation, right? We go through this every time, right?
I will say that I think that the applicant or the applicant's agent did strive to do as we've asked and speak to the criteria and guidelines, and that is very much appreciated.
yes, very thorough.
Yeah, it just said, respect the building's stylistic period, right?
But again, it's not an historic building.
True.
And we don't ask that they try to make a building look as more historic than it is. We do specify that actually.
Aaron, is there something in particular that you're driving at? I recognize they're not double hung. Is that the primary?
And the division of the lights, right? So if you divided those lights to make it look like it was double hung, right, you sort of solve that problem too, even if it's not, right? It's the 3 by 3 is really weird. And then the smaller sort of 2 by 2s are much less weird, but it's really those 3 by 3s are weird.
On the front.
Yeah,
So
but I'm
what-
only one voice here, so.
No, well, Erin, you're seated, okay? You're on this commission for a reason, okay? So stop.
I mean, does it blend in? Does the new construction blend in?
Well, what I'm trying to understand is, kind of the relative dimensions. I mean, would there be 6/6, 9/9? How would that look? You don't want a lot of teeny tiny window panes either.
Yeah.
I think it would have been better to have this discussion before the public hearing was closed. so
Can we
Yeah, it would have,
reopen?
but I asked numerous times.
Can we reopen? Can we reopen the public
I guess.
Well, okay, so we did have the town council was here giving us advice on these procedural things. And I remember asking the question, once the public hearing is closed, if the commission needs some additional feedback or answers from the applicant, can we afford them that opportunity? He hedged a little bit. My recollection is that ultimately we've got a little leeway if it's to address a technical point or something specific. So, Madam Chair, I would suggest that we give the applicant an opportunity to comment on the concern that we've been talking about.
Yeah, I think in the interest of moving the application along, if we can, that we owe that to the applicant. So can I have a motion to reopen the public hearing? I guess
I'll move
that's
that.
what we need to do.
If you are more comfortable with that approach, I'll move that.
Thank you. Can I have a second, Tom? So I would just ask, what is the dimension of the window in question?
What is the dimension?
The dimension.
32 inches wide. 46 inches high. So, Madam Chairwoman, you kind of put your finger on it about the making tiny panes. And we're trying to avoid that.
Right.
Joe, could you speak up a little more?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. It's not the library.
I was saying,
Are you sure?
the comment about the size of the panes, like if you increase the number of panes, you reduce their relative size, is spot on. That's what's driving the issue here. If I were to have a double hung, it could not be a 6/6 division, without the panes becoming very small.
So the windows you have there, they do not open, correct?
No, they do.
They swing
They
in.
would be used for purpose of egress.
Right.
And by code, they're required to have a certain size.
And so much off the floor,
Right,
so they can get out.
right.
So they'll open up like
They'll
this?
open out.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Way to do this. I mean, if they, yeah, you'd have to get them narrower and then you could potentially do. I think you could do like 4/4.
Well, I think the other thing, Aaron, is that, these windows probably come certain sizes.
Yeah.
These are not custom made.
Yeah,
So to get that look, I would be concerned about the size of the individual panes.
yeah.
And I'm not sure that it would even be a product that's available.
Yeah.
So and you said the lattice work is inside the window itself?
No,
No.
No.
It's on both sides.
sides, and then there's an aluminum spacer bar between the two panes of glass.
So it's on the outsides.
It's on the outsides. The muntins are.
which we have as a commission preferred.
You'd have to either yet change the proportions and they'd have to get narrower.
You're getting a live demonstration there right
Oh,
now.
Trying to cobble it together. This isn't what I usually draw. So what I have done before in the past is have a casement window, because a double hung will not give me the size required for egress. So Marvin does make a faux double hung that's actually a casement.
already that looks.
And the meeting rail is applied just like the muntins are.
Yeah.
So it still operates like a casement, but it appears as a double hung.
Yeah, so, I mean, to me, this looks so much better. Okay, it's sort of-
I see what you're saying, now that I
so
see
much
that.
better,
Mhm.
right? Like, cause the one, yeah, the one on the right starts to look like a. Yeah, like there's something off, but you can't put your finger on it until you see
Yeah,
it correctly.
so there would be 4 windows that we would want changed to that double hung appearance
So
style.
basically, anyone that is currently a casement.
Right, yeah.
6/6, 2024.
So can I make a motion to approve with revised
Yeah, we
windows?
have to close the,
Okay.
reclose the public hearing again first.
I'm sure you're done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
any other questions?
Last chance.
Well, so, yeah, I want to follow up on, if the applicant is willing to make this change, are there any other changes that you would make? So you asked about, okay, all the windows of this proportion would be the same, and Aaron indicated yes. Are you satisfied from a design standpoint that that works with the rest of the windows as you've drawn them?
Thank you for that direct question. Appreciate it. I believe so. I don't have the precision I usually follow here. What I endeavor to do is, not have horizontal pane. Every pane, in my view, needs to be either square or vertical.
Mhm, mhm.
I think that's achieved here. Yeah, I think it's achieved here. And it's very close to square. I'm on the verge of horizontal, but I won't know until I draw it with my CAD software. And then you see how these panes. Oh, no, I'm gonna say, I can. If we elect to make these panes similar to these, i.e. more of a square proportion than a vertical rectangle, would that require coming back and evaluating again?
If what you're saying, I'm sorry, if
I like to keep consistency
Sure.
with the proportions of the panes.
so let me try to be sure I understand what you're asking. If you wanted to change any of the other windows, yes, you would need to come back. I think it'd be a pretty simple procedure, but you've probably noticed on the whole application process that on here somewhere, that any change to what's been approved has to come before us.
Yeah,
But I think we have precedent, just brainstorming this, I
Right.
think we have precedent for accepting a narrative description of a change at this session and acting on that.
Okay. That sounds good.
So if you're thinking, if you were prepared to say so tonight, that you also make modification to the drawings on the other windows in a certain way to achieve consistency with this, I think we could entertain that as an amended application and act tonight. And that might be too much pressure. I don't mean to force you into that.
No, I think it's good to
well,
offer that.
having pointed out the consistency of the. I'll ask the commissioner if that sways her opinion at all.
Oh, like keeping what you have to keep it consistent?
Right.
Mr. Conley.
Public still.
Yeah, it's a public
It's
hearing again.
amazing How that one simple change the whole look. I mean, I'm not a visual type person, except for those big picture stuff, but are you saying that the pictures on the right-hand side there? Let's go back to. What's that? Those three windows, is that what you're saying?
No,
this-
those are
those are
garage
fine.
windows, we put it in a different category.
Right, right, I'm just trying to understand what other changes.
It
So,
would be to the panes in this picture.
Oh, and
way
that
that
big
one.
one, I see.
so, so Eric, on the, did I say your name right? I don't, so what we're seeing on the screen up there is a 3x3 window next to the left of this big picture window. We don't have that on here.
Oh, no, I just copied that.
Ah,
so you can
okay,
see the-
okay, okay,
the
thank you,
proximity.
thank you. That's why I was like,
Sorry.
wait a minute, what happened? I don't have that window. Okay. I'm clear, thank
Well,
you.
that's just to show the similarity of the panes.
So, sorry. I called it out.
So.
I don't know, to me, those details make a difference, right? And to me, it looks so much better with that's a very small change. So I would push to do that. I think if that meant that you wanted to revise the other window to have similar shapes, I think you could probably achieve something similar with the same division.
Yeah,
That would make it work.
I think I would not make that stipulation here,
Yeah,
because I think the panes
you
in
don't
that
have
large
one,
window would become very, very small. And
and you don't have one
Mhm.
next to the other either.
a homeowner would not, wouldn't buy for that,
I mean, the
So-
benefit is that they're not on the same side, right?
Right.
You've got one side,
right?
the two sides facing the street and then the driveway that would have those
Hmm.
alternate windows. And then you wouldn't need to on the river side, you would, they all look consistent on that
Yeah.
side. So,
From the inside, which you just don't really have a concern with.
True. Aren't you glad?
So that's what I'm weighing, you know, is whether I would change. I don't think I would.
Mhm. Other questions or comments before I close?
I just want to make sure I understand where the application stands now with respect to the two front windows. Are you amending to give the double hung look, or are you sticking with your proposal? And I don't mean to, I'm not trying to cross examine you. I just really want to know what
Yeah.
you're putting on the table for us, that's all.
Is one dissenting vote, no offense, I'm sorry,
totally fine.
what's the, so we've got two.
We can't
board-
really tell you how we're gonna vote.
No, I understand.
Okay.
But we've got there's 4 commissioners,
Right.
so I need a vote of 3, or do I?
You need a vote of
unanimous?
3.
Just trying to decide if I have a full house. or not.
Yeah, we can't tell you that.
I think if I relented, then everyone would be happy.
Say that again?
If I relented, then everyone would be happy. That's my feeling,
Mhm.
and so I will.
Mhm.
Is that clear?
I think that's clear.
Yeah, so.
We don't
you're
have a
making the
motion on the
application
floor
as
yet
it-
anyway.
As it stands with the one amendment.
To change, as I've changed here, all of the windows that are 32 by 46, well.
Just 3 windows, right? Let's count them so we're clear.
One,
It's 4
two,
windows.
3,
Well,
and
we
this
don't.
one too,
Yeah.
4.
All right, other questions or comments?
Could I ask a question?
I don't see why not.
Are you going to attempt to have the picture window match the others? You're not, you're leaving it the way it is.
Yes.
Okay. Just want to clarify that.
Okay. there a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll do it yet again. So moved.
Do I have a second? Tom, thank you. The public hearing is once again closed and we're not having another tonight. Is there more discussion?
I'll make a comment since I hadn't previously, and then I'll move approval, whichever order you prefer. I came in with exactly the concern that I heard from my fellow commissioner and from the public about mass and proportion. And looking at the application and hearing it through, I'm very much supportive of it. I think what you've done is a very nice job of, even though the structure is larger, some of the design, the dormers, the setbacks, I'm not using correct architectural terms, I'm sure, but sort of soften all of that. So I think it's very much in concert with the neighborhood overall and with the property in particular. So we're gonna move approval of the application
Well, not-
as amended.
Let's not do that yet. Let's see if there's any more comment.
Okay, so that's why I asked you about which order to do it, and technically you're actually supposed to have the motion first before the.
No, we
discussion.
have time to comment amongst ourselves before we have the motion. And that's,
Okay.
that's where we are right now. I will say, about these windows, I didn't find these distasteful, but seeing that minor change, I do think it is nicer. So I appreciate that you did that. Any more questions? I mean, comments before we have a motion?
Could you say that again?
I didn't think about the difference in those windows. The.
Right.
But seeing the difference it makes, I do think it is nicer for the
Okay.
historic district.
The only comment I had is on the backside of the garage, we have that lower window, and we have it as a crank out. That one. Will the double hung window be safer there than a crank out?
Mhm.
Can I answer a question at this point?
That's an open
It's not our
question.
responsibility,
Open
so
question.
Let's address that. Let's,
At another time,
yes, we can do it tonight, but not right now.
for the practicality of changing all the windows.
Well, I think he's already spoken, the
That's fine.
architect has spoken about fire code and
Sure.
all of that, so.
Okay.
All right, at this time, can we entertain a motion then whether or not to approve this application?
with the
With-
revision,
A revision of the windows to, there's 6/6.
the 4 windows, revision of 4 windows to appear as double hung.
Yes, 6/6.
So if you're motioning, I will second.
I'm not motioning.
Oh,
I'm waiting for somebody to
oh, I
motion.
will motion. For. To approve this with the stipulation that the 4 windows are revised to double hung 6/6.
Okay,
I'll second.
thank you, Paul. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
It's approved by 4. Those opposed? Those abstaining? Hearing none. The motion is approved 400. Yeah, 400. So thank you.
Thank you, all.
Thank you for bearing with us.
We'll need to follow up with revised drawings or.
No, I don't think so. I think-
I think you're going to zoning next, right?
Yes.
So ZBA actually.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
So
yeah.
your revised drawings will
Well,
be,
technically, they'll refer us to Gateway,
okay.
and then we'll see ZBA after. Gateway.
so you haven't gotten any of those approvals yet.
No, I appeared preliminarily.
Yeah. Oh, that
before
was
Gateway
smart. Yeah, that was smart.
To get their reaction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a garage there now.
They don't. It's inside the 100-foot setback.
Well, any garage would be on that property.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no, I mean, the hardship is all over that property.
Right. Absolutely. But again, it's appreciated how thoroughly you considered the application and we don't always get that attention to detail, so.
And just as a comment, you do beautiful designs. Like when I've seen you for that, they're beautiful.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, is there any old business? Do we want to have a discussion of the CLG grant? Do you have anything to report on that?
Yes. So I know that a few commission members are missing tonight, so I don't know how many. We last discussed this in December, it's been a while. But there was talk about what to do as a CLG. And one of the things that came up was, historic signage in the Main Street area. I think it was primarily that we were talking about, and there was some discussion about different, towns that had sort of historic district signage, not historic district, because you're in a historic district. This is, I think we were thinking more commercial
Mhm.
district, historic signage. So I looked in the communities that you were discussing, and I took some pictures. Give you some examples of what they're doing. So I labeled what towns they were in. So there's, a variety. Some of them are a little hard to see, but they're there. If you look around, you'll see them. Stonington didn't really have, I did not see a very consistent sign there.
But the one you have here is this one I've seen before.
Good night. Thanks again.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
I just didn't walk around enough. I saw few.
You have to go back tomorrow. Field trip.
It's pretty nice there. And then Essex had some,
Yeah.
the ones that I really noticed in Essex were the oval.
The ovals, yeah.
But then the Griswold had a different kind of sign there underneath the open sign.
Oh,
Had.
oh, yeah, that bronze
The
plaque.
plaque.
But the bronze, you don't really see those. They're not very legible to me.
So if that's not what you're thinking, then that's good to know. So you like more of if you like more of the round, the oval, wooden, Essex style, doesn't give a lot of information though. So this was just to kind of get you all thinking about what you might want, if you do want to go down that road. And then I think, Erin, were you the one who said the one about the welcome, Saybrook historic sign and adding
No.
something to that?
Well, if we wanted to do additional signs around town that had more story, like we talked about like maybe cornfield or like maybe Knollwood having some sort of additional historic signs that spoke to the history in those areas, maybe.
Okay, and someone had mentioned the issue about the indigenous.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Just to sort of
Rough.
acknowledge,
Yeah.
And then someone brought up the smallpox sign, the smallpox cemetery.
Yeah.
That's there, and doing something with that, although that's not. So these were just things that were talked about. And you probably want to continue thinking about whether you want to pursue any of those ideas.
Mhm.
If you did, I looked into it a little bit. I looked into it as far as the two different grants that are available. One, you have to match it, one, you don't have to match it. You do have to spend the money and get reimbursed, though.
Okay.
And I trying to figure out if signs might be, like, qualify for this grant.
Mhm.
And I think, one of the things that qualifies is educational and public outreach activities related to historic preservation and architectural history. Maybe that would, you could fit
Yeah,
signs under
yeah.
that.
Like maybe.
I did reach out to Mary Dunn. Didn't get a response. So I was thinking that we definitely get a response if you submit an application.
Mhm.
Even if they're a yes or a no.
Mhm.
So, you know, there's no harm in trying. So if that's something that you want to do, there are, you know, there's an application, there's stipulations that you have to put the project out to bid. You know, it's not super simple, but we could do it.
Mhm.
Um,
Too
So,
bad Alan's not here tonight, because I don't know whatever happened. He mentioned about the Historical Society making some signs too.
We
and
never gotten a clear answer about
No,
what was
and-
happening.
I've never heard any more about it.
Yeah.
So we probably want to continue this discussion.
if that's what you're thinking, the other things that qualify for grants are inventories, feasibility studies, condition assessments, historic structure reports, architectural plans and specifications, and national register nominations. So those are the other things that would qualify for this grant that you don't have to match.
Mm.
So that's that. We do have quite a few inventories already.
Yeah,
I don't know if we,
I kind of don't.
does
think
anyone
we
feel
do.
we're lacking in historic inventories?
No.
I didn't think so either. So. And there's Sustainable Connecticut. If we could perform a conditions assessment, which I think was one of the things that the grant would cover, could get credit for that. So conditions assessment for at least one historic asset in the municipality. So that's something else to think about. Educational workshops would earn Sustainable Connecticut credit, and they don't charge for those, so that wouldn't even be a grant
So
application.
say that again with that last one.
The conditions assessment or the next one,
The next one.
the educational workshop.
Oh, okay.
If we did an educational workshop, the state would probably do that for us.
And if we chose to do a condition assessment on a building, how would we choose that? We have a lot of historic buildings that could probably
Could
benefit from
choose a
that.
public building,
Okay,
I would say, or, yeah, I mean, either something that the town owns or something that's a church or something like that.
right.
And I guess what would be the goal though? So something that would be something to discuss, like if you're going to do conditions assessment of it, I guess the reason to do that would be to probably make some investment in the property to try and preserve it. If there's anything that's being threatened,
Mm.
that you can think of. Kate is on the historic register and the town owns it, but it's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if we did a conditions assessment and found that something needs to be addressed, that could be planned for. The assessment would be the justification for, making that happen eventually. So it's a lot of things to think about, but I guess I have to figure out what direction you most want to go in.
Are there any town-owned properties or nonprofit-owned properties that are on our radar that look like they're failing And,
Town owned?
yeah,
Probably not. What's the status of the lighthouse?
They haven't.
They still haven't
determined
picked
yet.
somebody?
Mhm.
Oh,
That's still unclear. I know, I almost hate to say this. I know that Grace Church wants to make improvements, but you have to do
An assessment.
an assessment first.
Is that on the National Register?
I believe it is.
Is that
It's in a, no, it's not.
the one across
It
from?
is, but not, it is in this,
It's the stone.
Wait, across from
Grace
the
is the
pharmacy,
Stone one.
right? Across from-
yeah, it's on this side of the Heart House.
Yeah.
You have the Congregational and then the Heart House and then Grace Church. And that is a district.
It's in the district. I don't know if it's on the National Register, not that it
Yeah,
matters.
I think
Because
it
it's
is.
historic either way, right?
They
Yeah.
own the Victorian next door too, that they keep making. I cringe every time they do something like that.
Well, that's
They own that.
gonna be sold.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
in the- because they need money to make repairs to the church. It needs a lot of repairs, the stained glass windows, the roof, all kinds of things. So I don't know, like, how this would work. Because what I understood is they would have to pay for that assessment. I don't know if this can help that or not. I guess that's what I'm driving at, and I,
It'd be
as
nice
I
to
say,
have
I'm on
Mary
safety to
here,
bring it up.
because she can answer these questions.
seems like that, it's like that's driving that, though, it's providing a source of funds to do that, to get some momentum
But
for a
that
project.
wouldn't really need to be through us, I wouldn't think, or would it? I don't know.
It wouldn't need to be, but is it a nice thing for us to do for the
Right.
history of the town?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, eligible applicants are strictly limited to municipalities that have been formally designated as CLGs. Okay, so the applicant would be, sounds like it's saying the municipality would be the applicant. It doesn't say that you, just being in a municipality that is a CLG makes anyone eligible. That's a good question for me to ask, though, if I can get answers to these questions.
I could get behind that. Helping to preserve a piece of architecture in town.
So,
well, we should all think if there are other, I mean, I know of that building, but you guys may know of other buildings.
the town has, Kate, this building, the Youth and Family Services building. I can't think of anything else really that is historic at the town. I don't know if it needs to be a structure, though. I mean, building.
This is just gonna display my ignorance, but there's a Masonic Lodge next to the library.
Yes, I've noticed that.
That's an
building.
older building that's not in the greatest of repair and a historic area. Does anybody know anything about
I
the
do know.
status of the group?
The ownership of that, we don't. We'll find out very quickly.
It was a multifunctional building for a while,
Mhm.
and then, some of the masons merged and gave more attendance at that building, and I'm not sure if they're even doing dance classes there anymore.
Structures that like are significant, right, on my mind, right, the pharmacy,
Mhm.
the old Boston Library,
Mhm.
the. Right, some of the homes that you catch up both Main Street and Old
Mhm.
Boston.
Mhm.
That's not necessarily an impediment to this, though, as I'm understanding.
Private ownership?
Yeah. Or is it? I mean,
It
just,
doesn't say that
curious.
it is, it doesn't say that it is.
I mean, if it isn't, I mean, who owns Lady Fenwick's old house?
I don't know
On the
what's in
corner,
her.
that huge, that used to be that tavern, right? Am I crazy in my history? The big white house on
The
the corner of
Humphrey
Main
Pratt
Street.
House?
Is that it? it's directly across from,
Right down the hall.
diagonal from the fire station.
Yeah.
On the corner. Wasn't that Lady Fenwick's? Or
Was it?
her
I
show-
didn't
Her
know.
showing of her body was there or something, like,
Oh, maybe. I always thought that was the Humphrey Pratt house.
you could be right. My history isn't as clear as
Yeah.
yours, but I mean, I don't know, to
I
me,
don't know, you've
there,
lived here a lot longer than I have.
to me, there's value in like picking a relevant historic house and like, I would bet any one of those homeowners are like struggling with, the same sort of repair stuff and like, is there a way to get grants to support the preservation of a privately owned house? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, because I feel like that's a workshop I attended years ago that they did, Mary Dunn and,
Okay.
and everything. And it seemed like, yes, there was money, but it's like if you were using it, like renting out rooms or had a business or something, I don't know. It was- I remember feeling frustrated about, like, there was a lady there who has a Victorian that needs paint, and she was like, I need to paint it, I can't afford it.
Yeah.
And there was nothing to help her with that.
I think it would be more difficult to sell, applying for a grant for a privately owned home. I mean, for the town to do that, because how do you pick and choose?
Right.
A not-for-profit would be probably better.
Yeah.
Something that's owned by a not-for-profit, if it's not owned by the town, by the taxpayers.
Yeah, I think so.
But I'm saying that's a no. And maybe there are other resources available, and maybe that would be a good workshop topic. What sort of resources are available for owners?
For Joe's average homeowner.
Yeah. I mean, I know there are tax credits, right?
I don't know, we never got any.
Really?
We did a lot.
Did you apply?
There was nothing we could apply for.
Yeah, I thought you had to get historic historic status first, right?
No, the house had that.
Oh, it did?
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm just terrible at looking, but we could not find anything that the average homeowner.
something to look into. So, I can look into more of this, but does anybody, do you as a group have a preference for which direction, maybe? And there's so many things
Yeah.
that I'm sure everybody
I'd
would
still
love
like
to
to
do.
talk about signs on Main Street, not on buildings. I don't know about how everybody else feels. Paul's nodding.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think that has potential for real impact in raising awareness.
I really want to extend it down the side streets, down Old Boston and we did it. 'Cause
Well,
I think there's
yeah,
a lot of great homes that would be benefit from our.
Well, it certainly would be worth looking at that, doing a survey.
Well, I thought that we had a
See.
survey.
No, I don't mean that
Oh,
kind of
oh,
survey,
oh.
but like, what houses
Mhm.
ought to have something, but see, again, when you get to private homes, then you have to get their approval.
Right, but if we
And
can
not
get a
everybody
grant to
going.
pay for the plaque that goes on the private homes, I bet you get a lot more approval.
So they're all
Yeah,
privately
it's
owned.
hard to know,
All the property is privately owned.
Great.
yeah, even the
Um,
businesses.
And I think they're starting up, restarting the Main Street Business Association, so that might be a good way to organize
Mm,
this effort.
mhm.
To see if they're on board. I
Mhm.
mean, if everyone says, I don't know why people would say no, but if people were to say no,
You
then
never know.
be kind of don't want to put the cart before the horse,
Yeah.
Like, see if they're interested first before we tell them what
Yeah.
they're gonna put on their buildings.
Oh, yeah,
You gotta pay for it. That's the challenge, right? Because like nobody's gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
If we can get a grant to pay for them, right? I'm sure everyone will say yes.
or maybe we pay for it, I don't know how expensive it would be, so. We do have a small budget every year.
and see whether that would qualify. It would be nice to have a conversation first before
Mhm.
filling out, and the grant is all, it seems like a lot of work. So
Yes,
it'd be nice to have a conversation first to
okay,
say,
so you're saying a
That would-
conversation
with Mary, who's the
okay,
person who coordinates the CID program,
okay,
the grant program. And see if it qualifies and maybe
yeah,
how we could structure it so that it would qualify,
yeah,
so.
I agree, it'd be worth having that question answered before we go any further. All right. Anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn? Tom,
Motion to adjourn.
second,
Second?
Paul, got it? Those in favor?
I.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.